Hi everyone. Today we're going to discuss the executive order by President Trump that was released yesterday, March the 20th, regarding consolidating procurement under the GSA. We're going to discuss it into details and what it means for government contractors. So let's get into it. So this was released yesterday by President Trump, as I mentioned, and it's about consolidating federal procurement under the GSA. And as you can see here, President Trump signed an executive order consolidating federal procurement for common goods and services in the GSA, and this will eliminate waste, inefficiencies, and duplication, and enable agencies to focus on their core mission of delivering excellent services to the American people. So I'm going to discuss the changes in detail. So the goal, as I mentioned, is to reduce waste and have federal government consolidate the procurement of goods, specifically things relating to IT services like office supplies, IT systems, under the GSA. And the GSA is going to be it's designed to handle procurement efficiently. So this move will eliminate waste, reduce duplications, and save about 490 billion annually. So what this means, instead of, let's say, NASA or the US Army or any other federal agency, instead of them procuring for, let's say, TVs or any IT services, now that's going to be moved away from them and into the GSA. So key actions that have happened regarding this. So since January, the GSA has terminated around 6,000 contracts. And what's going to happen now, as I've mentioned, agencies are going to submit proposals to the GSA within 60 days, discussing their needs and the kind of the procurement needs that are going to be moved from the agency to the GSA. And then the GSA is going to create a comprehensive plan within 90 days on how it's going to take over IT acquisition contracts from agencies into the GSA. So what this means, it's the goal of this is just to reduce inefficiencies in government in general. So they project that there will be $100 million savings per year for centralized, for example, Microsoft Office 365 procurement, and also lower prices in general, because the GSA, and I'll show you how the GSA usually, they manage to procure for much lower cost than what's available on the market, commercialized price. So as you can see here, for example, GSA average price for bandsaw blades is 22% lower than the other procurement channels. And then, for example, flat screen TVs, the GSA average price is 20% lower, and it's 30% lower than other commercial prices. So in hopes of saving more money, the government wants to move away this procurement of IT-specific services from the government agency to the GSA. So what this has impact, what's the impact of this on federal contractors, companies like us that procure to the government? The good thing, it could streamline the process. So now, instead of submitting a bid for different agencies, what you're doing is you're only dealing with GSA for contracts obviously related to common goods and services. So hopefully this will simplify the process. On the opposite side of the coin, this will increase competition. So, for example, let's say you're supplying TVs to one government agency. Well, now you are competing with all TV suppliers to get a contract with the GSA, for example, for supplying TVs. That's just an example. But now, since smaller government contractors may face more challenges with this, because they're now competing with maybe larger companies that can cut cost and give the government a better price. So another thing that might be that GSA might have some sort of standardized requirements or preferences. So this could require contractors to adjust their offering. And finally, and this is the thing that I would think would impact the most, is the GSA schedule bottleneck. So if a contractor does not already have a GSA schedule, it already takes up to 6 months to acquire one. I don't know how much it will take. It'll probably take longer, given all the businesses that'll probably want to get the GSA schedule now. If the bottleneck will just be bigger, and this could lead to delays and create bottleneck in the procurement process, because a lot of companies want to get the GSA schedule, and it's already behind. And also they have reduced staffing. As you see, there was recently GSA layoffs, so they have less staff to actually, and now they have to do more. As you've seen, they have 60 days to come up with a plan. So the reduced workforce may result in inefficiencies during the transition period. I've gathered critic perspective. I've seen a lot of people online, and critics, what they say, it's that this potentially could reduce competition. When you have fewer entities involved in procurement, potentially it leads to higher prices. Risk of bottleneck, so concerns that the GSA may not have the capacity to actually handle all of this. Again, like you're taking a lot of agencies under your belt, and if they're not ready, if they don't have the capacity to handle that, this could lead into inefficiencies. And then a centralized approach is one size fit all, which might not work and might not account for special needs for specific agencies. And also, there's a risk of potential influence. When you put all of this power in one place, it could have impact and it could be influenced by political agendas. And so that's also a risk that would not happen if you had each agency procure for itself, or less likely to happen. Now, on the opposite side, the proponents, they've said that this would lead to cost saving because if the GSA, they have the buying power, they could negotiate better prices. And as you've seen, they've managed to do that in the past, reducing costs by 20-30% from market price. And it could also lead to eliminating waste and not having agencies procure from themselves, having one centralized base could reduce all of the inefficiencies. And then also, it would free up the agencies to only focus on their core mission. So, the national defense, for example, they would focus on that, and then NASA would focus on its own thing. Each agency would focus on serving the American people and not worry about procurement. So, that's the proponent's perspective. I would like to hear your perspective, what you think this would have an impact on federal government contractors and also on the government in general. Let me know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. See you soon.